Tonight's show, Operation America Spring. Militias promise to oust Obama, Boner, top officials this Friday.
Our goal would be to seek international permission, and we would come to the Congress and inform you.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
If you've been successful, you didn't get there on your own. You didn't get there on your own. I'm always struck by people who think, well, it must be because I was just so smart. There are a lot of smart people out there. It must be because I worked harder than everybody else.
Well, it's not over. 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 Well, it's not over.
Live from the Room of Mirrors studio, you're listening to Foster Brothers on Point. Turn your selector switch to the fire position. The show is now live. I'm Hayes Foster. My brother Stephen Foster is here with me. We're the Foster Brothers. We're the hosts for the radio show. Tonight we're going to be talking about what's been called Operation American Spring. This is going to be a protest that's going to mirror the Arab Spring back from early 2011. And you're probably wondering, what's the point? We've tried everything. We can't vote them out. Lots of groups have showed up in Washington, D.C. as of late, and it seems like nobody can get anything done. They pretty much, the midstream media makes fun of anybody who shows up and says, hey, we'd like a restoration of the Constitution. They're blown off as kooks or domestic terrorists, as Harry Reid has labeled anybody who supports constitutional law. That's where we're at today. It's May 15th, 2014, and this is America.
Hayes, Operation American Spring was going to occur on Friday, which is tomorrow, on the 16th, and basically what they're planning on, they're doing a three-tier operation. Tier 1 is basically showing up on their doorsteps, just like they did in the Arab Spring. They're going to the main square or Washington D.C., probably in front of the National Mall, maybe in front of Congress. What they're planning on doing is protesting, and they've already submitted the legal paperwork to impeach Obama and to indict his co-conspirators. Some of the charges include treason. Hayes?
Yeah, this whole Operation American Spring, it was put together by a former retired colonel. His name is Harry Riley. Obviously, it looks like he's very concerned about this country, as we all are these days. It seems like just every time we turn around, there's more scandal coming out. There's always been scandal in the country. It just seems that today, more of it's just in your face and blatant, that, they just basically don't care if you know about their scandals, because they think, what are you going to do about it? We have a national security force, just as strong, just as well funded as Obama called for. It's called the Department of Homeland Security and any supporting alphabet agency.
That's right, Hayes. And a lot of these corrupt politicians in the federal government are untouchable, and they've been untouchable for years, actually. When's the last indictment that you can remember? I mean, it's so rare, and the ones that they've ever indicted were pawns, or they were ones that they were thrown under the bus for political reasons to begin with. There's never been a true, legal method to take these people down. I think we finally got some traction going.
It looks like it. I'm really hoping that the turnout for this Operation American Spring in D.C., starting tomorrow, the 16th of May, 2014, and I really, there's always that hope in your mind that things can be resolved peacefully. And I think that's what retired Colonel Harry Riley is after. I think he wants things, like most Americans, resolved peacefully. And I think we already know the narrative set here. Anytime someone shows up to D.C. and, wants to wants a redress of grievances or, just basically restoration of law, the media paints them as kooks or militia members. I've seen plenty of articles run. It'll be a group of families with strollers, and there's a scrolling ticker across the bottom of the screen that says militias unite or militias show up in D.C. And guys, come on. The gig is up. We know they're just trying to frame a narrative here. Kids in strollers aren't militia members. It's a load of BS half the time how the media portrays anybody who would dare stand up to the federal government in any form or fashion.
The problem is, Hayes, their cover's blown. They've been trying to, create this false narrative that there's militia members forming and they're the new Al-Qaeda. And I think that, Al-Qaeda was designed to basically frame patriots. Now, basically, the patriots are rising up, and I think that the majority of the people or the ones that are going to be more vocal are rising up to stop it because we're sick and tired of it. We have been through a lot with all this Democrat and the liberal jargon through MSNBC and the George Soros foundations, labeling us as terrorists. We are not terrorists. We are the heart and soul of America, and we're sick of it, and we're going to reclaim our nation, and we're getting sick of this communist manifesto dictatorship called the Obama administration coming in and telling us what we're going to do, what we're going to eat, and what kind of health care we're going to have, and how much, all these extra taxes. We're getting sick of it. We don't want it. They're operating under fiat. They're not representing the people, and this is what this demonstration is about, Hayes.
And always understand that Obama is currently in. Obama has just been a very poor puppet president, we'll say. He doesn't hide anything. I think the good thing about Obama is he has woken so many Americans up and so many people, who might have just been going throughout their life and, thinking they're going to ride off into the sunset with a big pension and, having an endless supply of Big Macs, and all of a sudden they're thinking this guy does not support any traditional American values like hard work, the normal family unit, as prescribed in the Holy Bible, just things that are American to the core. Everyone's seeing that Obama and the administration around him, and even a lot of people in Congress, are against that. They want to push us on into socialism / communism, / fascism, which is the merger of corporations and states. That's the direction we're being pushed. And a lot of people, Obama has woke them up. But this plan has been in effect long before Obama came in office. Both Bushy boys, Senior and W. I mean, listen, the Federal Reserve Bank Act of 1913 is part of the Communist Manifesto, which calls for a centralized bank to control the money. Because if you control the money, what do you control? People's lives.
And that was passed almost illegally when everyone was back home. They were not in session, and they took a break, and they snuck in there and took a vote when the majority wasn't even in there.
It was Christmas Eve.
The whole thing was, conspiratorial. Let me run down the list real quick. So what they've filed articles of impeachment, and the defendant is Barack Hussein Obama, President of the United States currently, and his co-defendants are Pelosi, Harry Reid, Barney Frank, Andy Stern, Valerie Jarrett.
That's Jarrett.
George Soros, Cass Sunstein, and Al Gore, Hillary Clinton. And I think there's a few more, and what they're indicating is they didn't want to actually indict everyone that could possibly be on this list. They were kind of going over the top figureheads just to make a point.
Yeah, and if the leaders who supposedly represent us out here, in the country, average citizens, if they won't push for the impeachment It's time for the people to stand up and push for that impeachment. And that's why, I really hope this thing does work out well, because we're kind of at the end of the rope here, guys. There's not a lot of things, like I mentioned earlier. Can you vote them out? Nope. They're systemic. This is cancer, and it is monasticized. It is spread all over the internal mechanisms of this country, whether it's the executive branch, the judicial branch, the legislative branch. It's system wide, folks, and to purge this cancer from our country, it's going to be a battle.
I think what you're trying to say is the time's now, because they've taken everything. There's only one thing they're going to take that will really impact us, and it's our guns, and they're after it. We all know that they've got legislation right now, that they're working through. And they've got some in the states, and they've got some in the federal government, and they're going to come after our guns. And guess what? No guns, no resistance.
And they know that. They're a lot of these people. They're students of history. They may act, like idiots in public. In fact, we've got a here's this just to set the background for this quote. This was Nancy Pelosi when the Obamacare bill was about to be voted on, and this is supposedly someone who represents the people, and I just want you to hear what she has to say.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Okay, I think most of us out there realize how ridiculous that quote is. And you probably heard it before, but that just gives you an insight to these people. It's about their agenda. It's not about the people's agenda anymore. It's about them lining their pockets, getting payoffs under the table. Why do you think that, I can't remember the percentage of people who are voted into Congress or the Senate on the federal level, why do you think everyone becomes millionaires? Do you think this just happened, magically overnight, that they said, wow, they started a business while they were in Congress or the Senate, and man, I tell you what, they just really wisened up. I think we all know what's going on here.
Hayes, Pelosi's statement, we have to pass it to see what's in it, is the equivalent to going to the car lot and saying, sign the dotted line to see your price. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let's go buy a house, and we'll give you your home inspection report after you close on it. It's totally ridiculous. Anyone with a brain can acknowledge that, left, right, in the middle. We're getting sick of it. Nancy Pelosi's on the list, and we want her out now.
Yeah, she is definitely on the list that's being indicted, or needs to just go ahead and step down, just for the sake of the country, because they are an embarrassment to this country. All these people that are listed here.
All right, Hayes, I'm going to run down a few of these bullet points on the articles of impeachment. I'm going to, generally go through them. We got conspiracy, intent to defraud, racketeering, conspiracy to defraud, fraud with unconstitutional and illegal seizure of private property, failure to secure the U.S.-Mexican border, i.e. the illegal immigration, interfering with sovereign states, example, Arizona trying to stop the legal immigration, obstruction of justice. This comes under Sheriff Joe Arpaio trying to enforce the state and federal immigration laws, interfering with sovereign state of Arizona. There's multiple instances or references to Arizona. Attempt to destroy American economy and private industry via cap and trade.
And that's Al Gore's little baby, the Pope of Church of Global Warming, Mr. Al Gore Leone.
Yeah, and that's why he's on the list, even though he's not holding an office. He's probably holding an office unofficially with the UN. We got another one, failure to carry out duties of the office of President of the United States, failure to comply with oath of office. This is basically to do with the economy. Totally agree with that one. Conspiracy to overthrow the Constitution and sovereignty of the United States of America. Cap and trade again, wealth, manipulation of the Federal Reserve again, some of the banker bailouts there. Endangered American defense, or endangered the American defense and security of the nations. This is directly related to like his anti-Semitic position towards Israel. Endangered American military personnel while serving in harm's way in Afghanistan. Basically, he's not supplying the troops with a real mission or with the materials they need to basically pull it off. Treason, that's one on here. That's a big one on here, actually. Basically, go back down to 0.6, 8, 7, 10, 11, all of them. Treason's all part of that, and conspiracy to commit treason also. Cass Sunstein regulations on the internet, etc., etc. Hayes, what do you think?
I think there's a strong case against Obama and his co-conspirators. I think they should probably go ahead and get out now, because it looks like the American people are coming for them. I think they're fed up with it. This is a long train of abuses. Redress of grievances have not been answered. In fact, they've been minimized in most points. Things like Benghazi, where no one knows anything. Everyone who goes on the stand in front of a congressional hearing, we don't know anything about it. Of course you don't. It's a load of bull. We listen. The problem is they've got by with it for so long. So I guess former administrations were, at least they kind of had they would hide it a little bit better, or maybe cover it better. These guys, it's just like they're out in the open. It's like a free-for-all, and they don't care what you know, because what are you going to do about it? I guess that's the Chicago way. What are you going to do about it?
Let me give you a little bit of insight on how government politics works, since I used to be a little bit involved in that. Basically, if you're going to do something, you need to have a cover story. Why'd you do something? You basically broke a rule. Why'd you do it? Well, if you can bring a little bit of logic onto what you were doing, even though you were totally wrong, they have to say, well, there might be a little bit of logic, so we're going to give them a pass. What they're doing is they're not even trying to go there. They're blatantly doing stuff at this point. They're blatantly breaking laws. We're sick of it. The protests, the Tea Parties, the Patriot Movement, we're sick of it, Hayes.
All right. Let's calm down for a second and go ahead and go to commercial here. Foster Brothers on Point would like to thank MyOneSupply.com for making this show possible. MyOneSupply.com, supplier of fine firearm and tactical gear. MyOneSupply.com carries Magpul, Everly Stock, Trigicon, EOTech, and many more top-shelf brands. MyOneSupply.com offers genuine military surplus and survival items. From the battlefield to your front door, check out MyOneSupply.com. And for a limited time at checkout, enter promo code TACZONE for 10% off on any item. That's TACZONE. Thank you.
All right, Hayes, so let's just go ahead and let all of our listeners know that Foster Brothers on Point supports Operation America Spring. We're going to get into some more details here in a few minutes. The mission statement of Operation American Spring is restoring the constitutional government, rule of law, freedom, liberty of the people and for the people, basically to defeat a tyrannical federal leadership that we all know is currently in place. That mission statement is pretty clear and concise. It doesn't say anything about joining the UN or giving money to George Soros. So I'm behind it, Hayes. What about you?
I'm game for it. I think it's we're running. Like I said, we're just running out of options. We've tried to vote them out. We've tried to expose the corruption. They blow it off like it never really happened. We are at the end of things to redress these grievances, and that's, I think, part of the reason that this former military colonel has come out, and organized this. And let's look at some of the similarities here with the Arab Spring. With the Arab Spring, probably in most people's minds, just because there was a lot more media coverage of this, was the overthrow of Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, the president there at the time. And, what we saw was people showed up to protest, and they didn't leave. in fact, the numbers swelled. Every time it seemed like they were showing footage of police or security forces cracking down, more people would show up. And a lot of this was fueled by modern technology via Twitter, Facebook, video phones where you could take live footage and video and stream that immediately. So we kind of, I guess, like I said, we're hoping, and this is the goal: no violence. Just get these cancerous, destructive leaders out of office. They just need to resign. They need to go home. The gig is up because no one wants violence on either side. I don't care if you're a protester or a police officer. No one wants violence.
Hayes, phase one, they want millions of people to show up in Washington, D.C. This is tomorrow. It's going to be Friday the 16th, and tomorrow, if you're listening to this, we hope that there are millions out there. I know that they've had million-man marches out there in the past. There's no reason to think this won't be it. I'm going to throw a little guess out there that probably there will be 1 million at least, but slowly it's going to grow and grow and grow. And that's why they're doing phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 is to get people going. That's going to get the attention. People that live in D.C. are going to start blogging, doing video. It's going to go viral. Next week, there's going to be more. Following week, there's going to be more. Basically, we're not stopping until we get the criminals out. This is why it's so significant, and that's why we're covering it today, is because we're going to get them out, and you need to be glad that everyone is finally rallying together. This is the end of the corruption if we do it right. No violence, but in force and in numbers, we can take our government back.
And, we are in a positive, swing right now because the Bundy Ranch situation went great. There was, we had good success with nonviolence. Now, we can't say that for the BLM guys because, as you know, they were tasing members of the Bundy family, things like that. They pushed a pregnant woman onto the ground. There's video of that. None of that's disputed. So, like I said, it's a very positive moment right now in U.S. history. And I say positive because, restoration of constitutional law, the law of the land, not just, freestyle, we make it up as we go and, no one cares about Benghazi, next question. Real law where people are held accountable. And, and here's the thing. What Egypt did right was they didn't leave. The Egyptian people stayed and they said, he's leaving or we're not leaving. And it finally did work. So that was the underlying message. We aren't going anywhere until they go somewhere. And that means they go out of office, they step down and relinquish their positions because they are criminals.
Hayes, and that's phase 2. Phase 2 is they're out of office. Phase 2 is also where there's vacancies filled, substitutes put in to help with the reformation of some of these illegal laws. Phase 3 is to get some of these patriots in office. So bottom line, this is happening. You need to be aware of it. But we also need to be aware of...
And you need to get out there if you can. If you're in the D.C. area, any states close to it, call in work tomorrow. Just go. Just do it.
This is just starting. There might be a chance that, Foster Brothers on Point, we might broadcast from out there. If we head down there, we're going to see how it goes on Friday. We're going to be keeping a close eye on this, and if we have the opportunity, we'll do a live broadcast from Washington, D.C. to cover this event.
In fact, this, unfortunately, this hasn't really been on our radar up until a couple days ago. And if it would have been on our radar, I would have probably been promoting this, back, as soon as Mr. Harry Riley announced Operation American Spring, we probably would have been promoting it. That didn't happen for that, I guess. It's unfortunate, but that's just how things played out. So everyone out there, get motivated, get on Facebook and, maybe go on Operation American Spring's Facebook page and just post some real, uplifting comments and positive things, keep this momentum going because what we're facing the infection in this government it's evil. It's evil because anytime you embrace the ideas of Marx or Engels, communist ideas, socialist ideas, you are going down a satanic path and you're playing with fire. And people, they just don't understand how dangerous that road is.
That's right, Hayes. And, we got 5 minutes left in the show, and I think that we should spend that time talking about, kind of some what ifs. Let's kind of war game, how this can go down. Obviously, these criminals will not go down easy. They're not going to just say, oh, yeah, you're right, you got me. Because, they've been committing treason all along, and they knew that they were in it to win it. Once you go down that road, you're in it to the end.
And something Stephen just said, these people that we're talking about, from Obama to the other ones that are indicted here as co-conspirators, Pelosi, Harry Reid, Barney Frank, Andy Stern, Valerie Jarrett, which a lot of people believe Valerie Jarrett is actually the one, the puppet master behind Obama, but that's a different show. These people have no morals. They do not care about traditional American values. They do not care about the middle class. They probably would prefer there is no middle class, because then people wouldn't even have the resources to get a tank of gas and drive up to D.C. So they basically want a bunch of compliant slaves is what they want. That's exactly what they want.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what MSNBC is going to say about it. Is they're going to say it's a small group. Even though there's going to be millions of people there, they're going to do specific camera angles to show minimal amount of people.
They've done it before.
They're going to say that a lot of them are militia members. Or they're going to claim that they're, part of tyrannical governments.
And they Stephen, to back you up on that, the Washington Times got an article in front of me from Cheryl Chumley. Let's see. First sentence: a group of self-described revolutionary-style patriots with 1 million mobilized militia members are heading down to downtown Washington, D.C. this week to bring a simple message to political leadership, from President Obama to House Speaker John Boehner. Get out. Did you notice they already have started the militia narrative? Like I said, the footage could be showing a family with a stroller. Oh, they're militia members. Like we really believe that anymore.
There's nothing to be ashamed of to be a militia member. As a U.S. citizen, you are the militia. However, the MSNBC and the George Soros Foundation media groups like to pin everyone as the evil militia.
Southern Poverty Slum Center, they do that too.
They're going to do that. So expect some slander. Expect, maybe even some provocateurs. I don't know what that's going to look like, because you can't carry guns in Washington, D.C.
Oh, they're gonna frame it, and I can tell you right now, they're gonna probably frame it. I'm sure they'll use the right wing narrative and versus left wing, or they'll say, oh, it's a bunch of Republicans out here, protesting against Obama. They're gonna try to defuse this using any angle and any lie that's convenient to them.
It's gonna be on Jimmy Kimmel. It's gonna be on Larry King. It's going to get covered because there's going to be so many people down there. They're going to have to cover it, but their angle from all your mainstream media groups are going to be negative. Like I said, Foster Brothers on Point supports this because it supports freedom and supports our nation.
That's right. We are definitely for the restoration of the Constitution and the restoration of law within the borders of this continental and United States. Well, also Hawaii and Alaska too. But we're just for true freedom, not the watered down version that they're trying to feed you these days.
That's right, Hayes, and we just need to be glad that someone has taken the effort and the time to legally and correctly submit paperwork to impeach and to remove these corrupt officials from the U.S. government and to restore our nation. We need to get behind this. If you can make it down there, let's go. If Foster Brothers can, we're going to do some live broadcasts from D.C. soon.
And everybody just keep the people at Operation American Spring in D.C. in your prayers. God bless this country, and let's try to get some restoration to the Constitution and just stop this lawlessness that's going on. And we're going to end the show on that note. God bless everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Last night I heard this politician talking about his brand new mission. Liked his plans, but they came undone when he got around to God and guns. I don't know how he grew up, but it sure wasn't down at the hunting club. 'Cause if it was, he'd understand just a little bit more about the working man. God and gun.